Hello, I'm Bill Wake. We're here working on the top simulator. Let's see. And I don't know, things seem oddly slow. You can't see my little spinny beach ball, but it's going crazy. Okay, anyway, we've been working on this top simulator, and the idea is it's a top with a line of LEDs in it, and you spin the top, and the LEDs flash on and off and make nice patterns, or in our case, we're going to try and make words. And we've got the bulk of that working in a mode where you specify how long how long does the light stay on or off. Basically, it's sort of you just put units and then you do like a dash form where it's like how much on, how much off, how much on, how much off. And it adds up all the units and divides it out into 360 degrees and decides what to show. So we basically got that working, and then we modified things. Let's see, am I responsive yet? Not really. We modified things a little bit and started making more of a designer's tool. So we've got the notion of a list of patterns or a library of patterns that you create, and also I want to have some that are predefined for you, but enough that you can make your own, and then a little editing tool that lets you turn dots on and off and set up a pattern. Wow. And I started the test run several minutes ago too, and that's not going well. Topple test doesn't even exist. Oh, it does exist. I don't know what the slowdown is. Everything's kind of hanging up for me. Hate this. All right. Let's see. I guess you'd have to be have pretty good eyes to see there, but on the left, slide 3 is a picture of the top simulator, a picture of the library, and a picture of the little editor we have. And then the thing that's changing is you used to specify for each LED when does it go on or off, and now we're going to specify a list of patterns. So if you had patterns for all the letters, you could say HI exclamation point, and it would go out and pull out the H pattern from the library, the I, the exclamation point, and we wanted to concatenate them all together and turn that into the light on off instructions that we've already developed. And I'm sort of treating those as the low level. We could define the top to be producing patterns directly, but I kind of want it to be more like it's something, as if we programmed the top. All right. Wow. It managed to acknowledge my play menu. There we go. Well, if you can hear my voice, we're not frozen. All right. Welcome. Okay, so, whoops. Get to start over. Wow, still launching tests too. What else is going on? Testing and launching tests. Oh, okay. All right, well, we progressed somewhat. See if this will do its job. All right, but you can see on the first screen is the patterns. You're going to type in that box on the bottom. You're going to reference the names of things in the pattern library in the middle, A, B, and so on. And then you're going to edit a little pattern grid on the right, and you can save the name and so on. Save it in the library under a new name. We've got the screens, we've got the navigation. We don't have the semantics for a lot of it. We did have the editing work. I don't think we save it into the library yet, and but I'm most focused on patterns today. So let's see. Tomorrow I've got a blog article coming out on symmetries and kind of how they can interfere with you in testing. So I will try to put some of that into practice here today to pick test cases that don't have symmetries, so I can make sure if I make certain classes of mistakes, it doesn't pretend like it passed even though it didn't. So we'll go with that. All right, here we go. And so we want to deal with the parsing of it, but the patterns, this list of patterns, I want to have the notion of concatenating patterns from the library. So I think we'll focus on that today. I don't know. I feel like I'm grabbing something out of the middle, which is a little weird, but it's kind of pursuing the thing that interests me the most at the moment, I guess. Wow, there's some progress there. Okay, so what are we doing today? Well, let's pattern selection. We want to be able to concatenate patterns. Okay, and so I think what that's going to involve, well, single patterns know a bit more than they do now. And then we need some notion of a composite pattern that builds a sequence of patterns. Okay, we have a failure. This may be... Let's see. Is this where we left off? I try not to. I don't know. I think it is. All right. So two patterns concatenate arcs. Yeah. So this is the notion. Now let's see what we got here. Okay, so the library is going to take string and an array of booleans with a default value of empty. You add one dot and that value true, and you ask for the arcs for that. It should come back with a 1. That's really, I think that's reasonable. Okay, now this next one, I don't know, that seems incomprehensible to me. The library.add, you should add one dot. Top maker. I think this is redundant. But I think here, let's see what top maker wants. Okay, it's going to take the patterns of type string. So, yeah, that's the that's where the second one dot should be. Okay. And wow, and the answer I think should be this. It's 1 saying you turn it on. Well, what should we want? This may be a more advanced test. Actually, I think what we want is 2. So we want to take those 2 1 dots and concatenate them and realize, hey, it's a sequence of 2 1 bits. And I think that's okay. But let's just run this one test. I mean, I think there's no way it's going to pass, but I think that's more like the test we should have. Okay. Yeah, and we seem to be running with a CPU again. Okay. I think what I want to do, I'm gonna comment that out, because what I would like to do is I would like to get this notion of bool, double array of bool. We have no pattern object, and that seems like a flaw to me. We have a view for it, but we don't have an actual model that represents it. And we're just passing double array of bools. Now, the bad side of switching this is, if we're ever trying to monitor it from the UI, the views, they don't know anything about our pattern objects, and we'd have to do some work there. But I don't know. I think we're kind of okay. So this is let's see. I'll run the tests, commit if they're good, and then we'll pick up and go. But I think we had this on our to-do even for a while. Did we? I just deleted it at some point, I guess. But I think this notion of the double array of Booleans, we want to concatenate them. We want to ask their size, their width, their height, all these, and things that we might want out of this. We probably need to figure out how to calculate the runs going across one of these things. So I think we need a class for that. So let's put that as the first thing. Turn bool into a class. All right, and it shows up a lot, unfortunately. But, well, let's see what we can do. All right, so a minimal way is going to be these places that, well, somewhere that takes a bool. Let's see, let's do a search. We can replace it with a pattern, I think. Okay. And I think we want to start on the model side. We are observing library. Is there a double array of bool? All right, so I think we will start on the library side, the model side. Okay, test passed. Let's commit those. I do not remember what was in here. Oh, so we just added observing that. The library. Okay, so arc, does not take an array of bools. Top. Okay, top takes an array of doubles. Well, a double array of doubles, actually. That's the numbers for how long to turn the light on or off, and I'm okay with that for now. Although you could argue if I'm doing it in the one, I probably need to do it in the other. This one, okay, so our key is hashable and comparable, which is a string, and our pattern, well, we're going to make an actual pattern class. All right. So let's find library. Do we have a NID? Who's using this? Callers. Nobody apparently. I think that's correct. Library view. We just saw it. He's got a library. Okay. Well, maybe I gotta. Let's find content view. Should have the original on the library. Yeah. Okay. Well, I'm afraid I'm going to put stuff lying around on the floor, but I would like to make this be pattern. Okay, and then we'll need a class for it. pattern.swift. And this is sort of this very primitive extract class. I'm just going to give it the pattern of array of Boolean. I'm going to give it a constructor that takes an array of Boolean and assign it. Okay, so that thing, well, probably more natural to do this, I guess. Okay, and now what I'm doing is I've created this stub of things. I'm expecting some things to break. So let's build. Oh, well, that default value will have to change. Okay, we know there's some tests that do the same thing. Okay. Cannot convert string pattern to the expected argument type. Content body view has... Come on. Okay. Up here, patterns, library string pattern. All right, I'm going to keep building and let things keep complaining until I get this thing propagated through. Patterns navigation. I don't know, it's having trouble finding these things. Patterns navigation. That should be in content body. Yeah. Okay. Okay. Pattern navigation library. Edit pattern navigation, same thing. Okay. All right, now at some point we're going to be assigning things. Somebody's going to complain about that. Library view. Pattern view. Whoops. We know it was back here. All right, let me try again. Cannot convert value of type array of Boolean to argument type pattern. It's a little hard to tell where we are. This makes me uncomfortable. I don't know, even 2 minutes in this mode is not a good feeling. Okay, so where's pattern coming from? Pattern is $pattern. Okay, pattern is array of bool. So this will become pattern, and this will get wrapped in the pattern class because that's all there is to it now. Okay. Pattern binding to binding of bool. Edit pattern view. I think that may be okay. That's edit pattern navigation. Where's edit pattern view? Okay, he will be a pattern. Pattern editing view. I'm chasing back and forth. Oh, okay. Also needs a pattern. And at some point, somebody's going to actually access the pattern, and we'll have to do some work. Boy, I did not pick a good place to pull a thread, apparently. I try and grab the bottom, but I think I just missed. All right, what are the errors now? Cannot convert value of pattern to expected type Boolean. Okay, so where's pattern view? Yep. Okay. Well, pattern does not yet have these methods, so we're definitely revealing the methods that are missing. Let's add these. Okay, so I'm going to change the name, but pattern count, if you call patterns the rows of the thing. So this is going through each row, and so I want really the count. I'm going to call that the height. Okay, and so let's add. Well, how do I want to do that? There's a slow way and a fast way. Well, I don't know if you want to say a slow way, but I could say, yeah, I guess the thing I can do is say pattern.pattern.count. Okay, and let everybody access the stuff, and then come back through later and clean them up. I think I'll do that because it just will make things go a little faster, I think. It spreads the knowledge around, which I hate, but I just want to get out of this mode where everything looks red stuff all over the place. Okay, what's this one? Unnamed argument number 2 must precede argument action. Oh, pattern. Okay. Cannot convert pattern to expected type view. So pattern view, I think we just fixed, right? Pattern editing view, pattern view. Yep. Cannot convert library string pattern to expected argument type. Okay, so top maker is new. And we're bubbling out here as well. Library substring $0. Bools to doubles takes bool double array. Well, dot pattern. Okay, try build. We haven't seen any tests yet, so we know we're not done. Wow, is that a test? Oh, it's the actual. Okay. That's a pattern. And this is a pattern. Okay. toArcs was never used. Yeah, that we're switching over on that one. Okay. Now I should see some tests complaining. But I'll feel better about that. Well, did we get them all? Let's see. We had library tests, you would think. Oh, interesting. Because the library is a generic, we can test with anything we want. And that's fine. All right, let's see what happens. Okay, there's a build. There's some test issues. Cannot convert library string bool to expected library string pattern. Okay, so let's make this pattern. Okay. Top maker test. So good. Some tests will trigger some of this. Okay. I mean, that was like 15 minutes, but that felt long. Okay. Let's commit this because we've introduced pattern class to take place of array of bool. Okay, so these bools are pixels, very unstructured. Okay, now pattern's not doing enough. All right, so one thing I know we saw was pattern of empty array. So let's take those. I would like to make a constant for those. That, and I get public. Okay, so these two places we'll just say pattern dot empty. I think that's a good thing. And I mentioned symmetries at the beginning. That's one of these things that one is an identity. Well, I'll do a build and see if it maybe got confused. The assert equal though may. Oh, that's a list of arcs. This should be okay. All right, let's run it again. But anyway, the empty is an identity that if you concatenate, think of string concatenation. If you concatenate empty string on the left or the right, it has no effect on it. And same thing on the pattern.empty. We have it partly so if you look up something and it's not there, we can return an empty pattern. Maybe a good choice, maybe not. But we also may have it, I'm sort of thinking about when you put the patterns that usually you want a little space between them. And so I can imagine saying, H space, I space, exclamation point, and the space translates into like a 1 pixel empty space. But I could also imagine that I've got pictures that I'm drawing as my patterns, and I want to connect a series of pictures with no space between them. And I'm thinking like a colon or something to be the indicator for just concatenating with no spaces. And that colon will return pattern.empty. And then if you attach a series of patterns with no spaces, then, you know, you can know what the word is. So, all right, that's one thing. All right, let's go back to pattern. Let's find who accesses this. Callers. All right. Init, that's fine. Pattern editing. Okay. Yeah, here's that pattern.pattern.count. Okay. Let's look for this. Just a couple. Okay. But I'm going to make a height. And it's not changing once we set it up. It's pattern.count. Okay, so how many rows? Well, that's what that is. Okay. What am I doing here? Public var height of int. Okay. And let's go ahead and use that. All right. And then what else we got? Well, pattern to pattern.row subcount. Well, I think that's actually kind of not quite right. In a way. Well, basically it's like, do you want to assume the patterns are all identically sized or each one gets its own thing? And I think to work with it in groups, we need to treat them as if they're fully sized out. And I think pattern row, I don't think we want to make the row width. The width is not a characteristic of the row per se, but it's more a characteristic of the well, the width is really the maximum width of any row. So I want width, but I don't need, well, let's see what we got. Okay, the width is going to be pattern dot well, I think it's like pattern dot map to $0.count, and then I think, whoops, dot max. Okay. So, no max candidate produces the expected contextual result type int. What type is this? Well, 0 type. Well, what? I would have thought, I would think we're getting an array of bool as $0. Map does not produce that. What are we getting out of this? Cannot convert return expression of type array event. All right, what does max do again? Maybe I just have to do this. If I don't have any It's 0. All right, let me try something else briefly here. Let's just put the question mark here. Is it happy? Did you mean to call it with... Oh. Is that all I've done here? Okay. So go through the array of arrays. For each inner array, count it. The maximum count is the widest, and that's the width. And if there is no maximum, well, then it must be 0. All right. And who needs that? Well, pattern row count. This should be width. Okay. And whoops. What else are we doing with pattern? Width, height, that's fine. We're accessing it. We're toggling it. Okay, so I guess toggle is going to take a row column. Is that reasonable? Toggle takes a row and a column. Expected colon. Oh, I keep writing Java. Okay, that's extracted from here. Well, where was it? Here? There. Okay, so pattern dot toggle row column. Okay, let's look for the word toggle again. Pattern view, okay. And then I think this may be the last thing we find is people looking at the pattern. So we can make that a subscript. And then the thing we have to do is if stuff's out of bounds, I want to make sure it's false. So I think I can do this without that for now. Let's see if I can remember the syntax for this thing. I think I give it the coordinates. And it's going to give back the Boolean. Okay. All right. And we want to replace this. We don't need the dot pattern. We're exposing it like that now. Oh, with column. Okay, and let's look for dot pattern. Probably a few yet. That's fine. Top maker. Self dot patterns. Okay, that's fine. String $0 dot pattern. Right. This should probably just be a pattern. So let's take the dot pattern off here. Pass in a pattern. We'll fix the name. Okay. Oh, and this. Let's put this here for now. Okay. And run tests. Should have been doing that along the way here. Okay, good. So we move methods over to pattern class. And I guess that's a new class. All right, I think we need to do that here. This function is apparently purely a function of the bool double array. And so we'll move this in a moment. But first we'll just take a break, 2 or 3 minutes, and I will see you back then. All right, welcome back. Let's see. So we're going to move this function over to the pattern. Okay. And then the caller, where would it come from? Well, I lost it. Pattern. The name obviously won't do either, but let's get top maker. Okay. So this thing, I would like to just say return bool double array dot bool to doubles bool double array. Okay. First, let's just see if we moved it and it's fine. Oops, I lost a brace. Yeah, this is really, these arrays of double is really arcs. So I think what we want to do is call this, get this next door. Okay, so bools to doubles. He doesn't need bool double array because it's on that method. So wherever we see that, we'll just do self. Actually, we'll just do dot pattern. Okay. And now this caller loses that. All right, and then I think we can say the name. Well, I think the name is really like toArcs. These doubles are the arcs that we're drawing on the actual top. So this is part of the conversion from the pattern form to the arc form. You could push to have this on a different class, but I think this thing has the information and it knows what to do. This is... I don't think this is actually correct. It's... Remember, we have this dash thing, so it's like how much on, how much off, how much on, how much off. And it looks like what it's just doing is turning each one into, on or off based if it's on or off. So I'm going to add some tests. All right, but boost to doubles. Let's rename this. And I think just toArcs will do it. Okay. And then in pattern top maker, I want to inline this. So here, bools to doubles, it's really library substring sub 0 is the pattern. Okay, so that's bool double array coming in. So we'll just take this. Whoa. Huh. I just crashed Xcode. All right, so I guess we'll do this again. Take this, delete this, and now bool double array is that, so that's what's getting called toArcs on. All right, and nobody's calling this. So it would have been nice if Xcode provided this refactoring, but it's not crazy hard. All right, and that test really started quickly there, considering I rebooted Xcode. Okay, let's see. So move method to arcs to pattern. Okay. Yeah, I'll just deal with that later. Okay. All right, so where are we on this? Turn bool into a class. Well, we're well on our way. Okay, so pattern. Let me pull this over, close some of these. Keep that one. Okay, so can I make this private? I don't think we have the word private, do we? Does it work? I don't really need to. I mean, not terribly bothered. But I wanted to make sure that we had everything supported that we should. Okay. Now, let's see what it would look like. We got this pattern class. He knows about an empty pattern. He holds an array of booleans for a pattern. Give me an array of booleans, I'll turn it into a pattern. It knows its height and width. We recalculate that every time. That's a little annoying. Maybe we could do something. It knows how to toggle at a position. It knows how to access a position. Notice this prevents nobody can change a position without us doing it. It's all done by toggles. And we know how to convert ourselves to an array of arcs that correspond to the thing. All right, let's add a test. And it's sort of, I don't know, how do you know when you need to add a new test for the result of a refactoring? Well, in this case, I'm worried that I'm going to change two things. One is the width. I could go to a more cached version of that. The other is that toArcs thing. I think is flat out not really exactly what we want. Okay, so this is, let's make this pattern tests. Put it up here. Okay, so this test is just knows its info. All right, so we're going to create one. Okay. And we will check XCTEQ. So pattern dot height is 2. Well, yeah. Let's add another one in here. Okay. Pattern dot width is 3. And you know, I might feel better. So I did one of these symmetry things just now. I didn't want to have a 2x2 matrix because then the width and height are the same. If I got them wrong, I could mix them up and be messed up. So I'm making sure that the width and height are different. I'm putting the width, the longest row second, just because it would be easy to grab the first one or something and not know. All right. And let's see. Let's check pattern sub 0, 0 should be true. And then 1, 1 should be false. Okay, I think that, well, I expect that to all pass. Okay, the next thing we toggle selected cells. So let's make another pattern. Okay, and then pattern.toggle row 1, column 2, and then pattern sub 1, 2 should now be true. Okay, that's, so I've covered everything up till here. toArcs. All right. Okay. Let's, oh, how do I do this? Let's run it. We haven't run it. Things could be messed up, actually, because I feel like, well, we've got this library of stuff, and the connections to the UI may not be right, because you can mess those up without it showing up in your tests. Well, I don't really do UI testing normally, so it could certainly show up without affecting any tests. And it can be a problem. Even it can still compile and still not be able to process things or something. So we may have to reconstruct some object notification stuff or things like that. Okay, well, this is a good sign. Okay, so the first screen is okay. The second one has nothing in it. We can... Oh, we can't. Okay, yeah, my suspicions are worth noting, I guess. Those should toggle. And we should be able to name the pattern. Test pattern. Oh, it toggles, but it doesn't show up in our thing. Okay. Let's add that in our to do. This is the editing. It doesn't show it. Okay. That's a real thing. Okay. Try another one. Let's just see if there's anything obvious in here. Why is that the case? Well, actually, no. Let me check this in what I have. So I added some tests for pattern. And now let's see. So content view. Oh, maybe edit pattern view. He binds to the pattern. Well, maybe pattern. See, this is one of these bumps when you go from we were double array of Booleans, and they've got some hidden mechanism to make arrays work with this notification stuff. Let's find the declaration. So that's probably in here. Oh, interesting. Okay, so observed object library. State pattern equals that. Okay. But now pattern's not... It's not a simple type anymore. Or a... well, it's not a... It's now a class. It was kind of the implicit array struct before. I mean, state is probably the wrong marker for this. I think it's probably supposed to be state object, which I think also means we need to be observable. And we could be published. Okay, so let's go back. Yeah, I think this should become state object. Pattern must conform to observable object. Object. And then this we want to be at published. Okay, let's see if that... Well, something's complaining, so... Can I convert observed object to binding? Yes. So this becomes pattern. Where's edit pattern view? binding becomes observed object, I think. Now we got to push this through. Pattern editing view. It's back here. No. Edit pattern view goes to pattern editing view. Pattern view. Binding another observed object. Okay, let's build that. Well, I'll test it. Yep. Okay, and run. So I'm hopeful that our editing shows up properly now. So the actual Boolean field is marked observed or published. So we would like to see yes. Okay. We'll make a little arrow. Okay. Good. So we've fixed that. That wasn't too bad. Am I actually getting to the point where I know what I'm doing with the UI a little bit? Maybe. This is the 29th. June's almost over. My goodness. Okay. Oops. How about creates a pattern, but doesn't show it while editing? Okay. I think that's okay. So that's a UI thing we did. Make pattern an observable object so UI can edit new patterns. All right, Boolean to a class. Let's go back to these tests. All right, so I think let's see, who used this was TopMaker. Right, and the TopMaker test is where we started today. So create an empty string, produces empty arcs. Okay. A single pattern produces arcs. Yeah, I think we are inadequately testing the pattern thing. It's okay to me that, I mean, TopMaker's delegating the work off to pattern, but I think this is a place where pattern's got to step up. All right, so there's two things I know. All right, one is if pattern tests. If you ask for something outside the range of what it has, I want it to answer false. And the way we are now, we just assume you're going to be legit, but let's make sure. So test Values outside known range are false. Okay. And I don't know what we're going to do on the toggle for that, but it may not come to it because we're only going to ask for I don't know if we're being too clever, but all right, let's see. So if I have a pattern, I don't need anything too fancy, even if it's just one thing. If I ask for something that's, if I ask for pattern sub 100, 100, 0, I expect to get false. And same over here. All right, and false. So if I ask for something too big in the rows or too big in the columns, maybe I should do this, and I could be more accurate here. Row 0, row 1, this is row 0, and here column 2 is outside the range. Okay, and I think this is going to choke. Yeah, cool. All right, so subscript, well, if row is greater than pattern.count, this is really a guard. Oh, the syntax always gets me. Do I just do this? No. Guard else. Okay. Guard row greater than pattern. Okay. What does that mean? Oh, I gotta say return now. Yep. Okay. So I'm looking forward, I guess, a little bit. I'm trying to make it safe so when I concatenate patterns of different sizes that people act pretty consistently. And if you ask what's in there, they should say nothing. You know, if you've like these ones with the variable number of columns in the row, I'm going to say the width of the pattern is the width of the maximum row width, That means rows that aren't exactly the same width can't, if we don't do this, they can't access those values. And yet I want to be able to say concatenate the pattern, fill out everything to the width. And I think this does that. I don't know about toggle, and I'm going to leave that. Well, let's put it here. Toggle of pattern cell. Does it need to handle out of range subscripts? Okay. So that's kind of a question. This, I would say we've done now. We've got a class, we've got the tests. All right. Single patterns know a bit more. That's really what we just did. Composite pattern we haven't worried about yet, but I want to deal with this arc thing. And maybe composite pattern comes first, but right. So if I have a series of Booleans, false, 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 true, 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 false, true, true, I really want to change that into 0 trues, 3 falses, 4 trues, 1 false, 2 trues. Because it always goes true, false, true, false, true, true, false, true, false, true. Okay. This is not going to do that. This is just going to turn Booleans, true, falses into zeros and ones into 1.0s, or trues into 1.0. Okay. I don't know if there's a stream function that deals with runs. That's a good one. Yeah, Swift run Greek. No, run loop is not going to be it. Let's try. Let's do pattern dot and see what we get. See if there's anything that sounds like it's going to make that for us. Compact map. Elements equal. No. Filter first. No, this should be doable. I mean, is it a reduce? It's not really. It's more like a filter. What else could you call this? A run sequence Swift? How about an algorithm to count runs? No, this is not really what I want. Is there a partition that would do it. Reorder elements such that all collections match the predicate, and that won't do it. Okay, let's look again. All satisfy. Applying difference. And let's see if we can find if I can get them to documentation to do this for me. Contains yeah, what I guess I want is I want a sequence. I want something that takes a list of stuff, and I guess I could have pairs that's like the value and the count, and then I could map through and get just the count out of it. Is that a reduce? Yeah, none of those really sound. And I'm trying to look at the return values for anything that looks like it produces lists of stuff. Okay, I guess I'm not too. Am I too small? Maybe. Okay. Swift array contains. Compact map returns an array containing the non-nil sequence of solving the code. Ooh, this is promising. The longest subsequences of the collection in order around elements equal to the given element. That's almost. Given difference to this. Okay, well, We're due for another break, so let's take a break, a couple minutes, come back and see if we can figure out a way to create these lists of runs. Welcome back. All right. I guess I haven't seen anything that sounds like what we want. So I'm thinking we're just going to test drive it in and create a regular old loop. I mean, it's running through. Well, okay, it's turning each of these arrays of double. Well, each of the arrays in our pattern, the arrays of Boolean, start there. Each one of those represents the sequence for one LED as it traverses around. So I think what we'll do, I mean, this part here is actually the part that I don't think is right, but it's also the part doing one row in the array, in the input array. And so I'm going to extract it out, even though I think it's misguided. File private function toArcs, and it takes an array of Boolean and it produces an array of double. Okay, and we're just going to do bool array map, and instead of $0 we will say input. Whoops. Bool array is the argument, so that should be input map every value to either 0 or 1. Okay, and so I'm saying this should be I guess I'm saying this should be toArcs of bool array. All right, it should still pass. I'm going to take this off. Which, because I feel the need to test this piece by itself. All right, and that is the part I think is just flat out wrong, and TopMaker will have to deal with it, but TopMaker tests. Yeah, it's not really, it's, yeah, it's a chain of stuff happening. I don't necessarily like that. All right, let's get to pattern tests. So we're going to start small. All right, so this is run of true is just the count. Okay, so if I have this and it's true, and I say pattern dot toArcs, I should get 2. It's really 2 in an array, right? I'm doing it at the top level. So this true turns into an array of true. Okay, that's going to fail. Because we turn everything into ones or zeros, and they can't be twos if they're ones or zeros. Okay, so I think I'm gonna let this go for a moment. I think what I want to say is, well, I'm going to say the previous match is true. And I'm going to say the count is 0. Okay, so we start off looking for trues. Now we're going to do a for. We can do value in input. Okay. And if the value is true, well, it's actually, if the value is equal to the previous match, okay, then we're going to count, increase count. Oh, am I doing this backwards? And then what are we returning? Well, I don't know. Result equals empty array. Okay, we have nothing in there so far. Result of double. Okay. At the end, we're going to return result. And at the end of the loop, we haven't yet put anything in the array. So let's put in result.append count. Okay. I don't know if my steps. Oh, come on. Okay. Now let's try. I don't know if this is making as much sense as I want, but let's do this. 2 trues and a false should put 2 and 1. Okay, and again, that should fail because we only write once. Okay. All right, if it's equal to the previous match, then that. Otherwise, well, we've changed values. So we've gone from trues to falses. So if we've changed, we want to change previous match now to be value. Okay, so we're restoring that. Now it'll change to false. And then the count is 1. Okay, so you're either the same as the previous value or you're different. And if you're the same, we're going to increase the count. And if you're different, we know there's 1 of you, so we're going to start the count there. Well, and one more thing, we need to capture the count. The old count. So we get our true values 1, 2. come in here with a false and we say, oh, I better record the previous count and start a new one. And at the end of all this, I'll do that. Now, I swear there's got to be some functional stream kind of thing for this, but I don't know. Okay. And I think that's really it. Well, we can get all rows. Test run of multiple rows gets all counts. Okay, so we'll do pattern equals. And we can do true, true, false, false, and false, false, and false, true, false. Okay. And our assertion then. Okay, should be 2, 2. So let's, again, I'm going to break my symmetries, do 2, 3. And 0, 2. Because remember, we have to start with our true counts. And then 1, sorry, 0, 1, 1. We'll make that last one a 2 as well. 2. Okay. And maybe that's worth a separate test. Run starting false has 0 count for initial trues. Okay, so if I false, true, true, false should be 0, 1, 2, 1. Okay. I'll run both tests at once. I'm hopeful they're right. But if one fails, I'm pretty sure the other will fail. Okay. Well, that wasn't so horrible. Yeah. I don't know what we can do though. I know there's this notion of a zippered list or a zip list sometimes called, but like you take a list and you pair each element with its succeeding element. But I don't know, it still does not kind of quite do it. Because it's a variable length thing. I don't know, it feels like I'm writing C code again. Should be a stream that just does it. Okay, let's do one more search for that sort of thing. I mean, this is a run of identical items Swift. How about detect run of identical items? This is kind of it. Oh, NumPy. No, that's not what we're after. Or NumPy. How do people say it? Well, any suggestions? maybe in React. What's their React stuff called? It's combine. I'm not sure we can use it, but I just think it might live there. Publishers. I don't know. Single values. I thought there was one that like deduplicated stuff, and maybe you can modify that to. Okay, well, I don't want to spend too much time. Okay. Well, what I think we may have done, we'll see if we can make this go. I'm going to run it. We may have it connected enough that we can try and display things with our new form. Oh, we don't have a... Okay, we don't have the... Oh, we have the pattern names. Okay. Yeah, so let's make a pattern. It doesn't mean anything, just kind of a bunch of dots. Okay, now if I go back here and I say dots, no. Okay. It cleared the old one, so that's kind of something, but it didn't seem to look this up and use it. Or maybe it did and we just don't know. All right, I was hoping it would do the equivalent of this. Let's see what's going on. Content view. All right, so here's the main content body view is the thing that we're after. It's got the circle and pattern names separated by spaces. Okay, so I don't think we need this anymore. We'll just comment it for now, but I'm pretty sure that's no longer relevant. Okay, so now when you say go, new marks goes to TopMaker, library patterns, arcs. It maps $0 dashes. What's dashes? No, we don't want dashes anymore. We want arcs equal top.spin. Oh, he's still using dash pattern. So new arcs. Let's try arcs equal new arcs. Okay. How do we convert a double array of doubles to type arc? Ugh. That's in our top somewhere, which tells me this should probably be arcs type. Okay. We're kind of close, but not really there. All right, so we have, this is an array of doubles, double array of doubles. spin. What's spin take? Spin takes an array of doubles and produces arcs. Okay, now we're talking. Okay, instead of dash pattern, we're going to spin new arcs. And they're not even arcs, so we're calling them arcs, but spin produces arcs. I don't know. We got some connection issues between our objects, but let's see what happens. Yeah, someday it'd be nice to put a persistence mechanism in here, right? Okay, so patterns. We'll make a new one. I'd love to just drag and get some. Okay, some sort of sideways shape. Oh, I didn't name it. Okay, we'll just call him X. Okay. And I'm going to say X. Go. Hey! All right. So you have to be... You got to kind of look at the sectors of things. So it looks like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That big fat one looks like 2 to me. And I believe that's representing the X's, the fat X's, well, the X's in the middle of the chart. I think what we want to do... Well, the problem is the pattern, I think, is kind of there, but it's so spread out you can't see it. Yeah, so if you have this white sector, if you imagine that taking, the whole rest of the pattern fitting in something that size, it would look much more like an X. So how can we do this? I'm gonna... It's like I really want to say, like, what proportion of the top should you fit that pattern into? And if it's one letter, we just want to fit it into a very small piece, like 10 degrees, 15 degrees. Dash pattern is no longer being used, so let's comment that out. I almost think we're ready to drop it. Okay, and top spin, let's see what spin's doing. Okay, he's going through the list of doubles. Spin one ring with index and dash, where dash pattern is a list of doubles. So this 360, that says we're giving you each one, each dot is going to be that proportion. I'm just gonna experiment. Let's say if we only give it 180, I think it might actually make it wider still. I think I actually have to go the other way, which seems unintuitive to me, but maybe that's the case. Okay, so I'm gonna make an XY kind of thing again. Okay, we'll be very symmetric about it. Call it X. Okay. And we'll put Mr. X in here. Go. Okay. He's smaller. He's not rotated how I want him. But he is smaller. Okay, I think we're on a track. Let's do 90. So I think, well, something's going on that gives that blank corner, and maybe that's something wrong. I don't know. But we'll see. It probably represents this column being blank. Save that as X. Reference it here. Okay. Yeah, I mean that's actually working. Believe it or not. I'm gonna turn my head here. I mean, you definitely can see the X-ishness in it. It's still wide, but like, let's put 45 and try one more. Patterns new, same kind of pattern. Okay, yeah, so hopefully you can see it. It gets wide by the edges, so that kind of explains it. But I think we're closing in. Okay, so let me compare this one. I think that's the only change. So let's revert that. Okay. I think I'm changing two things at once here. Yeah, the real thing is toArcs working. Okay, so let's commit these. Make toArcs. I guess that's pattern.toArcs. Okay, so what are we doing? Well, convert the pixels to run counts. Okay. Show them in UI. Yeah. Okay. I'm trying to think what would be a good next step. Well, let's update our to-do. We don't yet have the composite pattern. And I think that's that's what we'll tackle in the morning, this notion of concatenating patterns. So when you fill out the form on the page here, this is going to be a list of patterns. They should be concatenated and show up in our spin like that. I'm going to have some other object that's kind of a pattern holder. I'm thinking composite pattern, basically, that will represent the sequence of these things and deal with, appending ones of different sizes and so on. So we will pick up there tomorrow. Tomorrow's Wednesday, June 30th, 9 to 11:30 a.m. Eastern Time. And all right. Thanks for joining me today. Hope to catch you in the future. Have a good night.